Hold on, what? 401k plans no longer make much sense for savers? Oh, we're going to talk about this right now. Let's get to work. What's up, guys? I'm Kay Scholl. Welcome to another financial awareness video. So I'm online the other day researching my investments and the market in general and stumbled across this tweet from Bloomberg and was immediately shocked. 401k plans no longer make much sense for savers. I read it right away, and I'm not going to bore you by reading through the entire article, but I will go through some of the highlights. I'll leave a link in the description down below for you to click and read if you have the time. Okay, here we go. The 401k retirement plan was authorized by the Revenue Act of 1978, which took effect in 1980. But its real genesis is the 1974 Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which fixed the problem of underfunded defined benefit plans so thoroughly that private employers stopped offering them. Benefits consultant Ted Benna came up with a way to use the 1978 Act for a tax-deferred defined contribution plan, and the rest is history. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this and quote a publication from the Economic Policy Institute dated from December of 2019. 401ks are an accident of history. In 1980, a benefit consultant working on revamping a bank's cash bonus plan had the idea of adding an employer matching contribution and taking advantage of an obscure provision in the tax code passed 2 years earlier, clarifying the tax treatment of deferred compensation. Though 401ks took off in the early 1980s, Congress did not intend for them to replace traditional pensions as primary retirement vehicles. And yet, here we are in 2020. But if you recall, as mentioned in the original article, private employers stopped offering pensions. So a lot of employees were looking for and seeking other ways to save for their retirement. Okay, back to the original article. The tax advantage of a 401k depends on 4 factors, all of which have changed dramatically since 1980 to the detriment of 401ks. For a median income married couple with 2 children, which, by the way, according to census.gov, as of the end of 2018, was just shy of $62,000 a year for married filing jointly. The marginal federal income tax rate was 43% in 1980, 12% today. The capital gains tax rate was 28% in 1980, 0% today. The likely retirement bracket tax rate was 15% in 1980, 12% today. Interest rates in 1980 were around 15% compared to 0% today. Making some reasonable assumptions about a worker with 30 years to retirement, time out, if the average retirement age is between 60 and 65 and we take off 30 years, he's basically talking to millennials like me and maybe even millennials like you, or really anyone that has 30 years before the retirement. The 1980 version of the 401k tax deferral was equivalent to an additional investment return of 9.2% per year, an extraordinary incentive to save for retirement. Even without an employer match, using today's numbers, the benefit comes out to 0.6%, considerably less than the 1 to 2% in fees investors pay in typical 401k plans. Let's dive into this assumption a little bit more. If you are single, making $40,000 a year or less, or married filing jointly, making about $80,000 a year or less, then your long-term capital gains tax rate is 0%. Now, the assumption in this article is assuming that if you're single, making $40K or less, or married filing jointly, making $80K or less, that you never make more money than that over the next 3 decades. I want more for you than that. I want you, if you're single making $40,000 or less, I want you to get a promotion, change jobs, change companies, start a side hustle, try to get a bonus. Over the next 3 decades, I would encourage you to try to make more money than $40,000 a year so that this assumption doesn't apply to you. If you're married filing jointly and you are a single income household, I understand. But if you're married filing jointly and you're a dual income household, I want the same for you as well. Try to work harder, be the best version of yourself that you can be, and try to crack that 80K figure so that these assumptions over the next 3 decades don't apply to you. Quick side note, If you saw that 43% federal income tax rate from 1980 and were shocked at how high taxes used to be, I want you to watch this video right here about should you contribute to a Roth 401k or pre-tax 401k. Which leads me to the question of the day. Do you think federal income tax rates 20 or 30 years from right now are going to be higher or lower than where they are right now? Leave a comment below and let me know. So in 1980, the government offered a huge tax savings to encourage retirement savings, while today it offers little or no benefit. The employer contribution is still valuable, with a 100% match worth 2.3% per year in extra return over 30 years. But this has nothing to do with the 401k structure. I'm really glad he mentions the employer match here, because that is a really big deal, and I would argue it's an even bigger deal than he's making it out to be. I would also argue that that does have something to do with the 401k structure, because if employers didn't offer matches, you would see a lot more job hopping from company to company for other employers that do offer a 401k match, which would have a very interesting impact on our society and how much people might change jobs. A lot of job seekers out there do take retirement matching and retirement plans into consideration, deciding on whether or not they want to work for that employer. Now that 401ks have become the primary source of retirement savings for the middle class working in the private sector, we should restore the large tax incentive and bring fees into line with taxable investment standards. One easy change is to allow workers to roll 401k funds over to self-directed IRAs at any time. Now they can only do it when they leave a job. That would force 401k platforms to compete in an open market, and it costs nothing. He's referring to two things here. The first thing he's referring to is that inside of a normal 401k platform, you really only have around 17 to 20 different investment options, plus maybe some target date funds, and many of those options have higher fees than what you might be able to invest in outside of your 401k platform, such as a self-directed IRA. The second thing he's referring to is what's called an in-service distribution. What he basically says, and what is true, is that with most 401k plans, you can only roll the funds over to an IRA or to your new company's 401k once your employment has been terminated with that old company. However, if you are interested in what's called an in-service distribution, then here's what you do. Contact your HR department or whoever the decision maker is for your 401k plan and ask them, can we please include an in-service distribution moving forward into our 401k plan next year? Because they should be reviewing these plans yearly. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Reducing taxes on 401ks will cost the government money, but it could be a good investment if it results in retirement security for more middle-income households. Two simple ideas are to make new 401k contributions and accumulated returns from them tax-free when withdrawn in retirement by below median income households, and to exclude FICA payroll deductions as well as income tax from 401k contributions. Not only would these make the tax advantages of 401ks compelling again, they eliminate the danger that many workers fear that marginal income tax rates will be higher when they retire. A more reasonable fear at a 12% marginal rate with 2020 government deficits than it was in 1980 with a 43% marginal rate and far smaller deficits. And all of the benefit of these changes go to below median households in retirement. There's no subsidy for households in the top half of the income distribution. So what he's saying is, if all of your 401k contributions were tax-free, didn't have to pay income tax on them, didn't have to pay FICA payroll tax on them, which is Medicare and Social Security, and you could let them grow tax-free and they come out tax-free. So if your entire 401k contribution was all tax-free and it grew tax-free if you made under $80,000 married filing jointly or under $40,000 as a single person, here's my last question for you. Would that incentivize you to save more for your retirement? because it's going to cost the government money at a time when we need it the most right now. So here are my thoughts. I was shocked that Bloomberg would tweet out such an article until I realized it was a Bloomberg opinion piece. Just goes to show, don't just read the article headline, and you should actually do your research and read the article. Additionally, I am not an economist, nor am I a government representative, and I have no idea how some of these potential tax benefits for 401ks would impact our country when we have such large deficits at the moment. However, if there's a way for us to encourage more Americans to save more money for their retirement and for their future, then I am all for looking into it to see if it could work. If you're not sure if you should contribute to your Roth 401k or pre-tax 401k, click this video right here. If you want to learn more about asset allocation for your 401k, click this video right here. I appreciate your time. See you in the next one. I don't know if you could hear the fan on the laptop, but it's bad. Sucker's got to go.